You're listening to the Practice Slacker Podcast, episode 47, and today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com because they're amazing, and you can help support their amazingness and our amazingness by getting yourself a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/proactiveslacker.
There are over 150,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature to play on any device that you have.
Yes, and they're awesome. Also, you know what else is awesome?
What else is awesome?
Our audience.
Our audience is awesome.
And they can help support us by another awesome website, which is Patreon. Go to patreon.com/PSM and be awesome by giving us your awesome money. And we will, in turn, be awesome for you.
Okay.
It's a win-win. Patreon.com. Win-win. Hello and welcome back to the Proactive Slacker Podcast, the official podcast of ProactiveSlackerMedia.com. I'm Devin.
And I'm Nick.
And this is the podcast where we talk. In fact,
Yep.
most podcasts are in fact just that.
Talking. Yes.
And turns out, Nick, I have some vocal cords. You have some vocal cords.
Right. We have the equipment to record those vocal cords.
Yep. And we're pretty good at talking. We've done so most of our lives. And so, we figure why not just record us talking because that's exciting and fun.
Okay.
And do a podcast of that.
Thank you.
We've done it 47 times.
Reiterating what a podcast is on almost our 50th podcast.
Yeah. We're podcast in podcast format.
Okay.
We've done 47 of these, Nick.
Yes.
And we'll do 4,700 more.
4,700 more.
Yeah, well,
So
rough
our
estimation.
last podcast will be 4,747.
Yes. Rough estimation, assuming we live long enough. But,
Wouldn't that would be like 47? That would be way too long.
Would it?
Yeah.
What if we hunker down? We do like 4 a day?
Well, okay. I guess we'd have to just increase our production schedule.
Yes. That'd be great. We'd eventually
No.
devolve into talking about nothing. Well,
Devolve?
I
feel like that's what we've already accomplished.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. If we were doing 4 a day, we'd quickly run out of things to talk about. And
I think you're right.
It would devolve into me just beatboxing poorly into the microphone for an hour.
No one wants to hear that. I guess we're hearing it anyways. All right.
But for an hour, Nick.
I would turn it off.
Dude, it'd be
we
the
wouldn't
most
have any listeners.
It would be the most popular podcast on all
No.
of the internet. Fact.
No, I don't know.
That's how it would go. It would go down in history. Mainly because it'd be people tuning in to see the slow spiral descent into insanity.
Okay.
Yep.
So, how was your week?
A slow downward spiral into insanity.
All right.
It was actually not that bad.
No?
Just dull. Haven't really done much except work.
Yeah.
Tends to be all I do. However, there's the return of a much beloved segment. The Devin Has Car Problems segment of the Practice Slacker Podcast.
I'm so excited.
Are you?
Yeah.
I can hear the excitement just overflowing.
It's bubbling.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You said
Was
that's
your
so.
car bubbling?
No.
Okay.
No. You just said it's bubbling in the
Yep.
most enthusiastic manner ever. So, just want that to be known.
So what happened to your car this week then?
Nothing major. I'm due for an oil change. And a headlight.
That's not usually.
No. And a headlight went out. So, went to.
Okay, normally your car trouble is my engine was on fire at downtown.
Well, that's a little bit of an overstatement, but I'll accept it because it makes my life sound more interesting. Yeah.
This one is I have standard car maintenance that everyone has to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took it in because I figure I'm just going to have somebody change my oil because I can't be bothered to do it myself. I know how to change my oil, but then you have to
collect all kinds of work and it's dirty.
Yeah, it's just an inconvenience. You have to partially jack the car up because mine sits kind of low to get underneath and screw the thing out and collect the oil, and then you have to then seal up the oil and take it to be disposed of.
Yeah.
Like you have to take it somewhere. I'm just like, I'll pay $30 to have somebody do it for me. Like I'm fine paying for convenience.
Okay.
So took it in, and I figured, well, while I'm here, I'll just buy a headlight too because I need a new one of those because my passenger side light is out. And I'm like, okay, cool. This will be after work. I'll just take it in. It'll be fun. And this is all today. And I take it in, and they say, oh, yeah, it's an hour away. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just sitting in the little lobby, chilling, playing games on my laptop. And then they call my name, and it's been like an hour. So I'm like, okay, cool, it's done. They're like, yeah, man, we're trying to change your oil. We can't do it.
What?
Yeah. Why? What? He's like, yeah, we can't get into it. What do you mean? The cap? Man, it's stripped, man. Like, man, there's no way we can get in. So, I don't know, bro. We're just sorry, man. Like, okay, well, I'll buy this light and see ya, I guess.
So they just made you sit there for an hour to tell you they're unable to do their job?
Yeah. It was mildly annoying because I'm like, I have so many more errands I have to run today. I don't want to be
just wasting my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
He showed me, like, legitimately, the cap won't screw off. It'll just turn. And I've tried doing, like, the medicine bottle technique where you push down and turn. I've tried lifting up and turning. I've tried, like, squeezing the sides and turn. It's not coming off. It just spins. So, and this is the first oil change I've done on this car, so I didn't know that.
Right.
And there's a few options, one of which is it might have been the dealership itself broke it when they're doing, like, their inspection or filling it up with oil. Or they never inspected it in the first place or filled it up with oil when I first bought it. And, yeah. So, what this means, Nick, is I will drive it until my oil makes my car explode, and then I'll buy a new car.
Okay. That is definitely the solution.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Okay.
It's the best.
I'm
made of money. I could afford a new car.
No.
I can't. That was a joke.
No, you can't.
No. Well, I could, actually. But I don't want to spend... I have, like, $6,000 in my checking account.
Well, I mean...
But I don't want to spend that on a new car.
Okay.
I'd rather
not spend it.
Not spend on a new car and instead
just
save
not
it.
Spend it.
Yeah, well, eventually spend it on a down payment for a mortgage. That way I only have to pay like $50 a year for mortgage.
Okay. You're going to need
I mean, not
more
$50 a
than
year. $50 a month. $50 a month.
That doesn't seem like too bad.
No.
For a house payment?
No.
Oh, okay, that's your goal? Or that's what you're trying to avoid?
Oh, that's my goal.
Okay.
Because most mortgages are a lot more money than that.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Right.
So
you're going to need more than $6,000.
Well, when I get a better paying job, I can save more.
Okay.
Because I don't have to spend as
I'm
much.
just saying that you're not nearly there yet.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Okay.
But so regardless, I can't change my oil. I need to figure out how to get this cap off.
I feel like maybe just breaking it off.
Yeah, but then there's the issue of like if it won't go back on.
Yeah, but if it is just spinning, is it still perfectly sealed? Like, are you leaking oil out of it at all?
It's perfectly sealed. What it feels like is the outside case of the cap that's just spinning, and then whatever the actual core of the cap is perfectly like sealed and plugged in there.
Right.
But the top part, like the external casing, is just spinning. So what I'm thinking is trying to pop that off and seeing if I could get at the core of the cap and get that out. And, you know, maybe that means kind of breaking it. You know, I use that in quotes because it'd just be breaking the outside part of the cap. And then every time I need to plug in and unplug the cap, it'd be a pain. But, you know, it would still work. I don't know. So I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, or they might just sell the cap.
They might, but, like,
I don't know.
Seems like a really odd part to have in stock. Yeah, do you have
oil?
No
one's going to have it in stock. They're going to have to get it.
Well, right, but
ordered,
still, like, yeah. Can you order a 2006 Hyundai Sonata oil cap? Thanks. Yeah, awesome. I mean, I'm sure somebody makes it somewhere, but still.
Okay.
So that was my car issues. Not that bad.
Yeah, not that bad.
I do have other car issues, though.
Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know, which is probably none of you at this point, unless you just now discovered the podcast, because I talk about this every week. I work at a car wash.
Working at the car wash.
And I've heard that joke far too many times, Nick.
It's not a joke anymore.
No.
It's just you remind me of that song.
It's just sad at this point.
Right.
So I work at a car wash, and basically, an average shift at my work is listening to people gripe, whine, and lie their way into free or discounted things for 8 hours straight. That's it. That's all I do, is deal with people who can't afford $7 for a car. There have been times where people complain, like, oh, you went up in price, or, I didn't get this, blah, blah, blah. I just want to be like, well, look, you're obviously in pretty dire financial straits if you can't afford this. So here's some money. I'll, I got you covered, okay?
Right.
Because, obviously I make more than you if I could afford it and you can't. So let me just spot you the money. Don't worry about it. We'll get you through. I want to do that, but I'm pretty sure they'd get me fired. Well, I probably wouldn't get me fired. I'd probably be commended by a lot of my coworkers. But it would definitely, I'd probably get
cause
complaints.
issues.
It would.
I think.
But I sometimes wish I was allowed to speak frankly to customers.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It would be wonderful.
That's interesting because you're essentially providing a service that no one actually needs.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of superfluous. So, why are they complaining about it if they want it anyways?
Yeah. Well, and then people just they don't use their brains. They're like, well, it's gonna rain tomorrow. Okay. It was totally your option to pull in here today. If you know it's gonna rain tomorrow and your car's gonna get dirty, totally on you for getting a car wash today and then getting your car filthified again tomorrow. Like, you could wait. I'm not saying, yeah, give me your money, go through the car wash. That's entirely your fault at that point. But so yeah,
it's true.
Anyways, that's not the car problem. That's just my general job gripes.
Okay.
So we have what we call damage claims, which is when people, and this happens a lot, come through, claim the wash broke their car, scratched the car in some way, and then we pull it up on the cameras, take a look at it, all that jazz, and try to get sorted out. 90% of the time, it's somebody who their car was damaged before they went through. We could pull it up on the cameras, be like, yep, it's broken, and we're not paying for it.
Right.
And then they drive off, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people still try to fight it, even when it's super obvious on the camera, like this part was not on your car. Like, they try to fight, like, well, yeah, it must have been. Like, no, like, you haven't even gone inside the car wash yet. Yeah, like, it's right. Do you see that? Yeah, but still, it's like, no, we're not paying you at all. There's people who do. I feel like part of the customer base is people who knew their car was broken and are trying to find a way to not have to pay for it.
Right.
Another part of it is people who legitimately thought it might have been, like, they didn't notice it because they weren't looking close at their car because it wasn't clean,
Right, yeah.
Because a lot of people don't look over the car to see if it did a good job cleaning the car, and that's when they notice things.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you can tell which of those customers you're dealing with based off how they react to, oh, yeah, see, it was there before.
Mm-hmm.
The people who were just, like, honestly thought it might have been broken, like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it's no worries. I'll see you later. Thanks. And then the people who are just trying to save money.
Right.
They're like ultra frugal. They're aggressive frugal. They're militant frugal. See, I'm a passive frugal person. They're militant frugal. My frugality works in tandem with my laziness.
Okay.
Like, I want to be convenienced in my frugality. That's why I buy groceries 2 months at a time. Like, I buy 2 months of groceries, so I don't have to be inconvenienced to go to the store every week.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people who go out of their way and waste their time to try and save money, which I think is over the line frugality levels. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Nor will I ever be.
I think that there's a difference between what you're calling frugality on their part. I think they're really just trying to scam. They're scammers. Basically, they're not trying to save money for the sake of saving it, but just trying to not deal or, like, get something that they don't really have the rights to get.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. But here's the whole reason I bring this up. That's the backstory of how we deal with that and the history of having those problems at the car wash. We have this one guy that's been a problem for probably the past few days, maybe the past week or so.
Okay.
He came through, drives a Mercedes. It's a $140,000 car. And he claims the car wash scratched his wheel wells.
His wheel wells.
Well, not like the inside the wells, but
Okay.
like right on the edge of,
Okay.
where the body cuts into the wheel wells, if that makes sense. And they are the tiniest nitpicky scratches ever. You can barely see them in person. Like, you look at them, and you can barely tell. And so we're like, okay, we'll take a look. And he has, like, this clear coating on there as well that, like, was bubbling a bit and was starting to peel away. But again, like, if you were standing 2 feet away, you wouldn't see any of it.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, it must have scratched the car and blah, 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 blah. And we took a look at it. There were 2 days that he came in. We looked on both days. And one of the days you could see the bubbling, but you couldn't really see the scratches. The other day you could see the bubbling and you could see the scratches, right?
Okay.
But it's definitely they were definitely there before he went through.
Okay.
We pulled him out the camera. We could verify. Yeah, these were here before he went through. He went and got estimates at body shops. $2,400 for something a Sharpie would fix. Because it's a black Mercedes. I could go over with the Sharpie. You wouldn't be able to tell. Super nitpicky. He happens to be the owner of Rocky's Auto.
Oh, really?
Which I'm assuming
Okay.
we don't have very many Coloradan listeners. Our listeners are spread over the globe, and
It's
Rocky's
true.
Auto is only a Colorado-based company, so most of you won't know. But for those of you who've watched Breaking Bad, Rocky's Auto is to the car dealerships as Saul Goodman is to lawyers.
Yeah. I would say that's a very fair comparison.
Yeah.
Except possibly less competent.
Yeah.
'Cause Saul Goodman still manages to get stuff done.
Yes. Rocky's Autos is like the B-rate. Their commercials are uber cheeseball, B-rate, like slime ball dealership.
Have you ever been into one?
No.
It's not good.
They look honestly like it's like the Sci-Fi Network of dealerships. Like it's just that was a really bad comparison, but it's it's like the CW2
Okay.
of car dealerships.
I think we get it.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like I've seen their buildings.
Mm-hmm.
The buildings look like crap. It just looks run down and like hand me down. Everything is like run down and hand me down.
Well,
and, like,
they do sell used cars.
yeah, but
I mean, that's kind of what you're
even
going there
for a used car dealership, like it looks just
Mm-hmm.
Like they're up to no good. Like it might be a
In the neighborhood.
front for a drug business.
You think so?
No,
I
but
doubt it.
I doubt it as well. Either way, I also found out why it's called Rocky's Auto because the owner, his name is Rothrock.
Rothrock.
Yeah, that's his last name. It's
Okay,
Rothrock.
And Rocky's Auto doesn't sound the same.
Exactly. So Mr. Rothrock, he's like, he's kind of a douche on the phone too. Like my manager was talking to him, he's like, "Yeah, I just want this done as soon as possible." Okay, yeah, well, bring it by. We'll take it. No, I just want it done. I want this dealt with. Okay, well, yeah, then bring it by. We'll take a look at it. It's like, okay, fine, but I'm gonna take it to my my auto body places, and you're not gonna like them. Okay, well, just give us the estimate. Okay, but when are you gonna be able to pick it up? We'll just drop it by. Well, I can't drop it by. Okay, well, then we go. Well, when are you gonna pick it up? Just give us a time. We'll swing by. It's like, well, is it 8:30 sound good? Yeah. We'll come pick it up. Okay, fine. And it's one of those things where he thinks just because he owns a company, he can like be an ass to everybody.
Well,
Because he has that.
he has the authority to do that to everyone below him at his company.
Exactly,
and then
but not
he
to-
sees the rest of the world as also that.
Right, like he can do that to his own employees. Although I think there is a certain level of etiquette even then. Like you can't just because you're the owner of a company, you can't speak down to all your employees just because you're the owner.
I don't know.
Like you could, but I don't think it's good practice to.
Probably
like you
not,
probably
but
want your employees to
that's-
like you.
Would be the reason Rocky's Auto only exists in Colorado.
True. But my manager's convinced, based off the way he's been talking and the questions he's been asking about the damage claim and how he has this particular knowledge of weird things, like the exact dates he was in,
Mm-hmm.
right? That he did touch-up work on the scratches before he went through the wash on purpose, so the wash would clean off the touch-up work, then exposing the damage. That way we would have to pay for it. And
Okay, so
my-
he basically like tried to cover it up so that your wash would uncover it, and then he could get the actual repair work done on it.
yeah, because
Right.
the scratches is what he's complaining about, but you can tell that all the damage happened like in the same incident because the clear coating is rubbing off in the same area,
Mhm.
and you could see the clear coating in the first time he came through, and then after he's out, there's the scratches in the
Right.
same place the clear coating was coming off, so like bubbling off. So it's like, and the scratch marks are in such a way that our brushes would not have made them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if our brushes were to scratch a car, which very rarely happens, it only happens like a pebble gets stuck on the brush or something because it's foam, then you would see a scratch running all the way down the car.
Yeah,
in
and
like a pattern.
circular. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are just straight lines in one tiny secluded spot. And so my manager's convinced he's just throwing us for a loop and trying to get us to pay for
Right. So
his car because it's a $140,000 car, and apparently his company's not making enough money for him to be able to afford touch-up paint.
Apparently not. But what you're essentially saying is that the owner of a prominent used auto salesman place is trying to scam people. Is that what you're saying?
Wow.
I feel like we already knew this.
I think this sums up the situation perfectly.
Okay.
In many different regards. See how my manager's like, yeah, we're not paying him. He could take us to court if he wants.
Okay.
And we might have another court case on us as well at the car wash.
You guys are just going crazy with this.
Yield car wash. So the owner of our car wash doesn't exactly pay attention to things that are going on. And supposedly he signed a contract without reading what it was.
Wow. I mean, that's one thing for like end user agreements, but
yeah, like
if you own a business and you're signing contracts, you should probably read them.
Yeah, like if you're downloading, editing software or a video game on your computer, like I've read and agreed to the terms and agreements. That's one thing, right? But when it's like business dealings, that's a different.
Yeah, you should read them.
Yeah, exactly. And so apparently he signed this contract without reading it. And right now, currently, we use not currently. Up until recently, we used Waste Management for our waste removal.
Okay.
So we have a big dumpster where we throw just.
Oh, that reminds me. My dumpster at work just disappeared one night. Like I went to throw out the trash, it wasn't there. I had to use the other dumpster that the washing, like there's a laundromat that gets upset if we use their dumpster, but I had to because our dumpster just disappeared. Like it was just gone. Like how do you take a dumpster? What happens to it?
Is it like one of those typical giant green dumpsters?
Giant green dumpsters. It's got to weigh at least 800 pounds, just the dumpster.
I
imagine more than that.
The only way somebody can make off with one of those is with a dump truck.
No, I don't know what happened to it.
Do you think the guys that are picking up the trash that night were just like, shh,
and forgot about it?
And just drove down the street with a dumpster over there?
So someone else somewhere has two dumpsters? Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh. Well,
yeah, it was really
you'll
weird.
have to update us next week to see if that came back.
No, it's been gone for like 3 weeks. I don't think it's coming back, yeah.
What?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
We need to hire a private eye to figure this out.
I'm not going to pay for that.
Well, okay. I wouldn't either,
okay,
to be honest. But that's still weird.
It is very weird.
But yeah, so we have a vacuum area at the car wash, and of course everybody's like emptying out their cars and throwing stuff away. And so we take the trash bags out, the trash cans in the parking lot, and then throw them in the dumpster. And we fill up a dumpster probably every other day.
Yeah,
that needs to be emptied. And apparently, the owner of our car wash signed a 3-year contract with Waste Management, a renewal. It's like, okay, you're sticking with our service for another 3 years. After the fact, he realized, oh, crap, I didn't want to do that. There's a cheaper waste removal service called Alpine. I want to do with them instead. And so he tried to contact Waste Management. Waste Management was like, no, we're not letting you out of the contract. You signed it. And so now he just straight up stopped paying Waste Management. And
that's, not a smart move.
And in hopes that they'll he's not paying. Let's just end the contract. Right? And as a result, Waste Management stopped coming to pick up our trash.
Okay.
And so our dumpster area was like literally like on the verge of, because there's the dumpster and it's enclosed in this like cement bricked off area. Right. And the dumpster itself was overflowing, and it was getting to the point to where it was on the verge of overflowing the little cement area. So,
wow.
So the owner hired on Alpine, this new waste removal service, and had them take the Waste Management dumpster, move it to the intersection in front of the car wash, and then put their dumpster where the dumpster should be. Right. And then we just toss the overflow trash into the Alpine dumpster, which they're now coming and getting. So we're paying for a cheaper service and not paying for the service that we're supposed to be paying for. And their dumpster's just chilling out in the street waiting for Waste Management to come pick it up and take it away. And he's hoping that they'll just let him out the contract. But here's the deal. He signed the contract. He is legally obligated to pay them for the next 3 years of service.
Right.
And he thinks just not paying it, they'll get fed up and be like, okay, fine, we'll take your dumpster away. We're not going to service you anymore. If I was Waste Management, I'd be like, no, you signed the damn contract. You're paying us the money. We're taking you to court. Legally, you have no argument in court. Like, you would have to pay the money.
Yes, but they did stop providing the service when he stopped paying them. So
that makes sense.
If
I was a judge, I'd be like, well, yeah. If you're not paying for the service.
Well, yeah, but they're technically breaking their side of the contract by not providing the service as well. So I don't know if it would be as easy in court with all the technicalities, but
Yeah, but outside of a court and technicalities, like any onlooker besides the owner would like look at this situation and be like,
it's absolutely
yeah, dude,
ridiculous.
you're
yeah.
in fault. Like you're not. You signed the contract, so
Mm-hmm.
you know. So those are all my fantastically thrilling work stories this week.
Wow. It's just all ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have someone at work that likes to steal cookie dough, but it's not nearly as exciting.
I was reading a report actually the other day talking about total loss from employees in companies, and I think across the United States, $2 billion a year are lost to employee thievery.
Wow.
And I think my total theft of the car wash has been a pen that I accidentally brought home once.
Oh man.
That we found in a vacuum.
Well, then that.
So it's
I
not
don't know if
thievery
that
at all.
counts, Yeah.
No. But yeah, so $2 billion are lost from employees just stealing from inventory. So
I absolutely believe that.
your cookie dough thief, he's contributing. Probably
Well,
not
but
$2
he's
billion.
not an employee.
Oh, he's not?
No.
There's just
No.
a guy that steals
Well, okay.
cookie dough?
Yeah, our cookie dough is on like a display in front of the register that we can't always see, and so this guy likes to come in and he buys pizza, so he pays for pizza, but he doesn't pay for the cookie dough he puts in his jacket pocket before he leaves.
Huh.
Yeah. So.
But you know who he is.
Yeah. It's just,
But nobody
it's
cares enough to
not
do
really
anything?
worth it. And
Yeah.
one thing of cookie dough is not. It's not worth it to, because he'd freak out or whatever. We also had a guy steal our tip jar the other day. Yeah.
Okay.
This guy, he came in, real quick, and it was in the morning when I was working and we're doing prep work, and so we say, oh, we'll be right there, and it takes us a little bit to get up front to the counter because we're doing prep work and we don't have a lot of customers, and he's like, I'll be right back as soon as I got up front. And so he like ran out the door real fast. And then he was like, okay, whatever. We went back to doing work, and then we heard the door ring, and then it opened again really fast, and he was just running away with our tip jar. Like he came back like 20 minutes later to
Do you guys like empty out the tip jar every night?
Yeah, he got maybe $10 and change.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
not making off with a lot of money, but it was just pretty ridiculous.
Some
And
people.
He had a rose in his hand. The first,
What?
Yeah. And the first time he came in, he was holding this rose. And I don't know if it was strategic, as in I would be more likely to just remember the rose, like, and not his face. But he didn't have it the second time he came in. So I don't know.
Maybe.
I was hoping he would throw a rose at the register. Like every time he stole a tip jar, he left a rose, like a calling card. I feel like that would have been cooler.
That would have been cooler.
But no.
Maybe like he had a romantic date planned that night or like scheduled that night and he totally forgot to. Damn it. Oh, I need to get something. Ah, crap. I got no change.
At 10 a.m.?
There's Papa Murphy's. Cool. It just goes
Okay.
in. Yeah. I don't know.
I somehow feel like
Maybe
that
he
wasn't it.
works with her and he's like, I'm going to see her in like half an hour when I go in for work. I need something. Here's a rose. Don't have money for anything else. Let's steal the Papa Murphy's tip jar and I'll get a nice card to go with it.
Okay.
It could have been a crime of passion.
I guess. I don't know. It was just very strange.
Speaking of
But my manager was most upset about losing the actual jar. Like, not necessarily the tips contained within it because it wasn't very much, but the actual container itself was really nice, and we miss that. We have to use the crappy one we have on the second register. So
nice. I like that. He stole the tip jar. Oh no, the jar.
yeah,
The jar. That was a nice jar.
it was a great jar.
Huh. Yeah. So, anyways, when I was in the, I mentioned earlier, when I was getting the oil change, I just entertained because I'm like, I have to sit here for an hour.
Right.
I'll just play a game on my computer. I recently downloaded a game that harkens
Right.
back.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about now.
Harkens back to my childhood, ye old days of third grade. You know, it's immensely fun, and it is called.
Okay.
Okay.
Ye old. It's just the old. Like that Y is just in place of TH to save on typing. It does. You don't say it ye. It's a TH. It means the.
The old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Regardless, back
Okay.
in third grade, I used to spend hours playing a game that had a special place in my heart, and that game is called Chicken Invaders.
Yep.
Which is essentially the same thing as Space Invaders, but with chickens. And
Do feathers explode out of them when you shoot them?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
That made it better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it's great. The premise is there's intergalactic chickens. Like there's a chicken homeworld, right? With like these giant alien chickens.
Okay.
And they are coming to destroy Earth and all of its inhabitants for the oppression of their earthen brethren. And you're the sole person who could stand against them and save all fast food chains,
Okay.
including Space Burger. Space Burger is the main corporate chain in that game.
It sounds similar to the plotline of the 2009 Star Trek, like the alien invaders, and there's only one captain who can stop them.
Okay, I can see that. But anyway,
Okay.
The first Chicken Invader was like very rudimentary. It came out in like 01 or something. But I downloaded the fourth one, which came out like
Wow, they've had 4 installments of this.
Yeah, and they
they're
only get better.
They're free, right?
The first one is, and it's only for Windows.
Okay.
The others you have to pay for, but the older they are, the cheaper they are.
So
I spent
you
like
paid for this then.
yes, I spent like $10.
Okay.
So
It very fascinated me what you will and will not pay for.
Hey,
It's just
I will pay for
interesting.
nostalgia,
Apparently.
and so it's the fourth.
You're Nintendo's core business market.
Yes, I am. So it was great. It's a very fun game. You have like power ups, and you can switch weapons, and you're shooting chickens the entire time, and part strategy, part luck, super fun. But this made me curious. What non-console games were staples of your childhood?
Of my child. The first game I ever played on a computer was Putt Putt Goes to the Moon in maybe first grade.
Was Putt-Putt the car?
A purple car.
Yeah, I remember playing that.
Yep.
Not Goes to the Moon. Mine was not on the moon, but
Oh,
still remember
it was all the same, just like mini games.
I think
going
that
on.
same company also made Freddy the Fish.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember playing Freddy the Fish.
I did
Those
not.
were good times.
Beyond that, I spent a lot of time on stickfiguregames.com or something like that. It was basically they had a bunch of stick figure based games, so the animation was really easy and it was very bloody most of the time.
Gotcha.
But I really didn't play too many games until I got Xbox.
Okay. Aside, like, even after you got an Xbox, were there, like, any Flash games or whatever that you remember playing for, like, lots?
Oh, in sophomore year, Jack and I played Bloons Tower Defense.
Oh, that was one of mine. That was on my list.
Instead of doing our introduction computer class, we played that. We also played a game that was basically pirate ships, only there was like this online multiplayer capability, so we could actually play a Flash game together in the class. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, see, Bloons Tower Defense, good lord. Such a fun game.
Basically, we had like an extreme mode going on because we only had the 55-minute class period in which to work. And so it was essentially who could get to the desk and start the game first to get the farthest first. But eventually towards the end of the semester, we started getting to the point where we had overload the computer's processing capabilities
Because there's just too many entities on the screen at one time.
Exactly.
Also, side tangent real quick. I'm of the opinion that computer classes shouldn't really be part of a curriculum anymore because
it
when
depends very strongly on what the class is about.
Yes. But, like, do you remember, like, between 3rd to 5th grade doing, like, typing classes and learn Word and learn Excel and PowerPoint and all this stuff? When computers were starting to be introduced, it made sense. Like, it somewhat made sense for us to have those classes. But
Train
now
the young generation to use them.
Yeah. So, like, I didn't know how to use PowerPoint or Excel. I learned through that class. But now we're at the point where, and I even learned a bit about Word through that class.
Oh, I honestly didn't. My dad taught me all of that way before.
Yeah. Well, I knew all, like, the basics, but there's, like, fancy stuff like if you put a photo in, how to get the text to wrap around the photo and stuff like that. And
I guess I didn't learn Excel outside of that class.
Yeah. So my personal opinion is nowadays kids just grow up literally like at 5 and 6 starting like, tablets and whatnot. Like my sister has a tablet and I don't.
Yeah.
And she's 10.
Does she have a fancy laptop though?
No.
Okay. So
she does have a laptop though.
Oh.
It's just
Wow.
not as fancy as mine.
Okay.
It's an older Windows laptop. But, so they grow up with, like, knowing how to navigate all these things already. So, like, when you're in 5th grade.
But how much of their time do you think is spent in Word or PowerPoint? I'm going to go with 0%.
Not much, but it's pretty intuitive. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, you don't really need to be taught how to use PowerPoint. It literally says, click here to add text.
I agree that it's pretty simple, but I don't know. I feel like that in certain situations, schooling on that might be necessary.
Yeah. Also, I wasted an entire year in 5th grade being taught how to use Windows Movie Maker.
Did you?
The best of all editing platforms.
I don't remember that. Did everyone have to do that?
No, it was only I think it was only our class that did.
Huh.
Our homeroom. But anyways,
So you just had a bad teacher is what you're saying.
well, everyone had the same teacher. I think she's just trying out new things with each homeroom.
Okay.
But yeah, she wanted us to go into, no joke, Microsoft Paint. Okay?
Right.
Paint.
Mm-hmm.
Use Paint to paint a picture,
Sure.
and then paint another picture that was slightly different, and then paint another picture that was slightly different, and then do this over and over again. Drag all these photos into Movie Maker and shorten them as small as they could go and make a moving animation.
Right.
Yeah. So I made the Death Star blowing up in Microsoft Paint and then animate it in Movie Maker. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Like, ridiculous. You can, and even back then I kind of knew, like, well, can't I just take an image and move it instead of having to change it every single frame?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can. It's super easy. I do it all the time in all my videos these days. But anyway, so my side tangent, I just think kids grow up with, like, an innate sense of knowing how to navigate technology to where we don't need Mavis Beacon to teach us typing. Like, we know how to type. We know how to type.
How many people know how to type on the iOS keyboard?
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on a physical
Any keyboard, really. It's really easy to adapt to any keyboard. Once you get a sense of the size of the keyboard.
I suppose, but I would argue that I definitely don't know how to type like you're supposed to, so I'm sure
like you're supposed to. Like, there's a set way to type. Because, they were always...
You're faster if you can use the keys
are
without
you,
looking
though?
at them. Yeah, you absolutely are.
Well,
that
no,
is
well,
100% backed by science.
Yeah, without looking them true. But, in typing class in, like, 3rd and 4th grade, we always taught, okay, feel the F and the J for the marks.
Right.
Put your fingers there, and then make sure all of your fingers on the other keys next to it, right? Both hands. Right. And then you're just supposed to type away. I never used that method because it was just, I'm like, no, it's ridiculous. So I have my own typing technique that doesn't utilize that at all. It's like a mixture of pecking and doing the proper typing. Does that make sense? And it worked. I could type super dang fast.
I guarantee you can't type faster than someone who actually knows how to type using the home row.
Yes, but does it really matter? Do I need to be as fast as that person?
I'm saying, yeah. I mean,
exactly.
We don't really need that skill as much anymore.
So that was a waste of a semester. Just sitting there, Mavis Beacon teaches typing, because I never used it. I'm just like,
okay.
I type my own way, and I'm pretty sure everyone else does as well.
I can't say that I don't.
I
feel like people type faster with like having the traditional method. Like
and I think the traditional method, the only people that really use that are people who are older than us. Like, I don't think anybody our age or younger actually types that way, because they weren't.
I mean, I'm sure there are some hipsters that do, but
yeah. So that's my very oddly passionate rant.
I'm
against
you're
Mavis
so
Beacon.
incensed about this.
Mavis Beacon, how dare you?
I don't
presume
even know who that is.
You don't know who Mavis Beacon is?
No, I don't.
Did you never do Mavis Beacon teaches typing?
Nope.
Dude, they had like mini games.
Now you're nostalgic about it?
Well,
make up your mind. Did you hate doing it?
I did hate doing
nostalgic?
it. I did hate doing it, but it was a part of childhood. Like everybody's childhood.
Oh,
it's
not
like
mine.
as big a part of childhood as Oregon Trail.
I remember having to start doing like the typing stuff occasionally, but I somehow always managed to not do it.
What?
I don't remember. Like I remember spending almost all of my time in every computer class I've ever taken, getting done with every assignment right away, and then just messing around with the internet.
Yeah, trying to find ways around the blocks that they put on the school network so we could play games or watch YouTube videos.
Exactly.
Which is another complaint I have real quick, is throughout middle school and most of high school, almost all of high school actually, you weren't allowed to go to YouTube on the school computers, which
Right.
to an extent I could see that, right? It's like, okay, well, they're just going to, watch, dumb videos about nothing, right? But there were a lot of times where I was trying to do that. But there were also a lot of times where I was legitimately trying to pull up a video that was specifically related to the project I was doing that I wanted to incorporate. I'm like, I have to go to the teacher like, hey, can you type in your code for this? Well, why? I need to pull up a YouTube video. No. It's specifically related to the project I'm working on pretty dang accurately. Well, show it to me. And I show it to them like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Right? Like, because recently YouTube, and by recent I mean like the past 2-3 years, YouTube is actually becoming like a legitimate source of educational content.
That is fairly hard to cite, but yeah.
Well, I mean, granted, it's growing in every field, but there is a larger educational presence. And to be fair, it's not as in-depth as like you'll get from classroom material, but there's still educational content. Crash Course, SciShow.
Minute Physics, Minute Earth.
Yeah, Minute Physics, Minute Earth. Veritasium is one of my new favorites. I've been watching a lot of his videos recently.
Yeah.
And
Vsauce.
Vsauce, that's the one I was thinking of. So there is educational content on YouTube. Yeah, and it's all really good too.
I think
I particularly like Vsauce. It's like modern day Bill Nye.
I don't know if that's accurate. I love Vsauce because everything he says is very interesting, but
he's so eloquent in the way he speaks and in
yes,
his transitions.
But the transitions themselves sometimes don't make sense to me. Like, sometimes I feel as if he's talking about a very specific thing and we're going down this one path, and then he just, boom, changes to a different direction, and I didn't quite follow. And then I see where the connection was, but I still want more on the other topic that he stopped talking about.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
But I think him and Veritasium are some of my favorite YouTubers at the moment.
Okay.
Just because their content's always unique, but oddly entertaining.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's my other complaint is there's educational stuff on YouTube, and I hated when.
But the school system is much slower to change than the internet, and
yeah.
Almost everything except the internet is much slower to change than the internet.
Although my nephew is doing, not my nephew. I don't have a nephew.
No.
I'm the oldest of my siblings. Why did I say nephew? My cousin.
Okay.
I don't. Why did I say nephew? That's really
I don't
weird.
know.
That would be assuming. Let's see. My oldest sibling besides me is 13. So that means he would have to have a kid for me to have a nephew. Definitely not the case. So my cousin was doing homework this last night, and tonight. Tonight he was doing homework tonight. I was over at my grandma's house, and he was doing homework, and it was all like internet thing to where it's like, okay, do your homework project, type it out, and then attach it, and then submit it to this. It was like a school network thing, and just submit it to your teacher on their account via this network. I'm like,
right.
I like this. It was kind of like that when we were in high school, to an extent.
It's much more like that now.
Oh yeah, which I kind of wish it was more like that when we were in high school, but I think they were just starting to implement it in our like junior and senior years of high school.
Yeah, well, the school has to like figure out that that's possible, and then the teachers themselves have to acclimate to it, and so I feel like we were in the teachers trying to figure it out stage.
Yes, and now they have figured it out, and
some of them, I'm sure.
Yeah. So like I remember junior and senior year doing a few online quizzes where you'd log on to like this test-taking website, and then you do the test while having Google pulled up in a separate tab to Google all the answers, right? And there are times where you could tell they just copy and pasted a question from like a teacher's resource website because you punch it into Google and it'd pull it up with the answer listed underneath. And okay, thank you. Gonna copy that, put that over. I hope teachers gotten smarter than that. But
yeah, because I feel like those they had like a security measure where you couldn't navigate to another tab or anything, like if you left that page, but you could just pull up another window, and then it circumvented that. So
and you could even just go in a different browser as well.
Yeah.
So
or a different computer, or like I think I usually did it with it on my computer, and then I was on my phone for Google.
Yeah. So that was. So my cousin was doing this, and it was just this whole automated thing. Like all of his homework, their teachers just had profiles, and he would click on the teachers, and then he'd attach the file and then send it to them. Like that's really cool. I wish that existed. We had a very rudimentary system of that, and I think it was only you can only attach they only did like a few times a year, where you would
Yeah.
actually send them a project, and most of the time it was like a PowerPoint or something. I remember multiple times being like, "Hey, can I just submit this to you on your teacher account?" And it was like an essay that I typed. And like, no, you have to print it.
Right.
I'm like, but you have it. You can log on and read this. Why do I have to print it? I don't have a printer at home. Well, you have to print it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
I always showed up to school early and printed out anything.
So
I needed
everyone
to.
did.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, the library was just a swarm in the morning, so everyone's printing out stuff that they need to have printed for class because,
Yep.
oh, no, logging on to an account and reading it, no, that's just too hard. Jeez.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of cool. I like that system. And
Okay.
I just wish
Well,
they had
that-
it. I
Was
feel,
that your entire point?
I feel like I lost out.
Okay. So that was your point, is that you lost out on the technology of learning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes me sad. Although, even in college, wow.
Got a spot for my dog?
Yeah, sure. Well, should we get your dog up here and give him a mic?
No. But, I mean, I could get him and he would be very cute on the camera.
That would, yeah, but you also risk him knocking over all the lights in the tripod
Yep.
and your desktop and all that stuff. But if you guys could hear barking in the background, that is Nick's Dodd.
Dodd.
That's Nick's Dodd Rocco. Yeah.
Duh.
Sochi Olympics.
Wow. Wow.
That's a
Okay.
horrible Russian accent. I
Yeah.
apologize to any Russian viewers we have. All two of you. But yeah, so your dog is obnoxious sometimes.
Trust me, he's a 7-month-old puppy, so.
Yes. Last point I had about the whole technology thing is even in college,
Yes.
it's much more like that in college, where you just submit things over a network and you do the online test taking. No?
Did you have a different experience than me, apparently?
Yeah.
Or perhaps my teachers were just very bad at it. We had a school internet, like, web portal thing, and several of those resources were available, but none of my teachers knew how to implement them correctly, I felt, because I never used it and said, oh, that's how it's supposed to work. It was always like, why am I doing it this way? Wouldn't it be easier to do it a different way?
Yeah, our professors in college actually asked us not to print anything out because they would lose it and just to submit it all online, which I did. But there's also online test taking, which you would assume, more security precautions against cheating with a college exam that's online. Nope. I did the same thing. Pop up new tab, copy and paste the answer, and they were just taking the answer straight from the textbooks, which there were ebook versions free on Google for.
Yeah.
So instead of having to look up the answers in my textbook, right, I had the ebook of the textbook pulled up on one tab. I would copy and paste the question and put it in the finder for the ebook, where it would find the exact page with the answer right underneath it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty ridiculous.
There's a reason I got a 3.95 GPA
apparently
in college.
I had a professor that told us about the ebook and that it was available for purchase, and so you didn't have to buy a huge, thick textbook. So I did that, and I just had my tablet in class and I would be flipping through the textbook. I didn't see a single other person. Every other person had a MacBook open and a textbook next to them.
Why?
And I didn't understand it. Like,
you know what I love about, especially in the educational environment, about having ebooks? You can just search the exact term that you want. You don't have to flip through the pages looking for it. It'll take you directly where that phrase is.
yeah, like the table of contents is hyperlinked.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's great.
So
that was really, when ebooks first started coming out, that was the main motivator for me to want to get one, is like, oh, if I could just download all my textbooks. So instead of lugging around, like, I remember in high school, it's a big deal to weigh your backpack with all your textbooks in it to see how much you're carrying around. And I think
it's always too much.
I think at most mine was 18 pounds.
I never actually weighed mine, but
I think that was the most mine never got up to, which is because of all the AP classes I was taking. And it always irked me how little you actually use textbooks. It's like, well, why do I have all this? Which is worse in college, when you're like, okay, I paid $400
for this book that I haven't read yet.
Yeah. Literally, when I was at Columbia, I paid $400. No, it was $350. Paid $350 for textbooks. I used one of them once, and we read one sentence out of one paragraph. That's it. And I'm like, wow. So that's how you make all your money, huh? Just like you cheated me out of $350.
Yes. The companies that print those are upset with the ebook movement because they don't want to lose out on all that money they're making.
Yeah, they
But
could deal with it.
yeah, and the newer textbooks, like the companies that are trying to embrace that, it's pretty cool because they have interactive like pages. Like first off, they're designed to be viewed on a screen, so it's the text blocks aren't just a weird adaptation of a book onto a screen. It's just meant for the screen itself,
Right.
which is awesome. But they also have interactive like videos and whatnot. I know I've seen a couple examples of ones that are for biology classes where you can actually see the cell and then you can like move it around in 3D and like,
That's cool.
look at inside of it and all that kind of stuff.
That's really cool, actually.
And-
Like that
Mhm.
would make learning actually. I mean, there's certain elements that certain subjects where I do actually find learning very fun, depending on what I'm learning.
Okay.
But for subjects I was not interested in, this would be a good way to get me to interact with it because I have an odd fascination with infographics. Doesn't matter what they're about.
Yeah.
Like, if I find an infographic online, I'm like, ooh, and I'll just read it because it's a cool way. I like being presented with visual representation of information, and that sounds like a good way to do that. Like, if the whole
Mhm.
digital textbook was an interactive infographic, that's like the best way to get people like me interested in that.
Okay. I feel like sometimes you need to have more
Well, yeah.
condensed information than an infographic, but
Well, no, yeah, but with the same concept in mind of making it, because I think that was the biggest thing with high school is like I didn't feel the desire to be engaged because it was all dull and dry and there's a few teachers that did make the process of learning actually interesting and fun. And I think
Okay.
that's the goal behind getting people to actually learn is make them want to
Yes.
learn.
Yes, I suppose.
So, boom, there.
Okay.
I should be a professor.
I
I would teach the frugality and mediocrity 101. It'd be great.
no.
No?
I feel like you wouldn't like it.
How so?
If you would just resent every class you had for random reasons, but it was really because you just didn't like talking to them.
Yeah, I guess. I can
And
see
you
that.
just spend all your time complaining about the class that you had to teach and the work you would have to do for that.
Yeah.
You'd love summer, though.
Yeah, I don't have to be in a room with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not that introverted.
No, but it's different when you're presenting to them every day and teaching them. I'm sure that's completely different.
Speaking of infographics, I have to pull it up.
Okay.
I did not have this prepared. That just came to mind. But you might have seen it. It's been making the rounds on Facebook quite a bit, and all the bands have been reposting it everywhere. But it was a study they did, trying to figure out what every state's favorite band was.
Right.
And then yeah, you've seen it, right?
Yes, and then the service behind Pandora and all that actually released the better updated infographic that made much more sense.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
So there was the one that some arbitrary study did that didn't do a very good job of describing it, and then there was the music service behind what the algorithms behind Pandora and maybe Last FM, a bunch of different music services said what states actually listen to, like because they have all those metrics as the provider of that algorithm. So they just basically corrected this study. It was pretty amusing.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Were they like, vastly different?
Yeah, they were pretty different. In fact, most of it was rap. It was like the most popular across almost all the states were different rap artists.
Really?
Is what people actually listen to.
Do you happen to know where that is at all?
I don't remember what the company's name is off the top of my head. I watched it in a Philip DeFranco video. He did one a while ago.
Gotcha. Well, I do have the first study pulled up,
Okay.
which I find interesting, and I thought it would also be cool to juxtapose this with some of our other studies. So you remember
Okay.
we've had a few of these state personality things,
Yes.
and one was which personality, like if you generalize the personality of the people who live within the state, what your personality most meshes with another state,
Right.
like where you would feel most
Yes.
comfortable.
And I got, what did I get?
You got Montana.
Montana. That was.
And I got New Mexico. And then we
Yep.
had the one where I believe it was dialect, like your own personal dialect, what that says about where you should live. And I got Arizona. I believe you.
I was all over the place on that one, right? Like,
Yeah, I think you got one in Arizona. Might have been Nevada, I think.
Yeah, I got Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico, maybe. No,
Maybe.
somewhere else.
I do know Nevada was, I think, your biggest result. I'm guessing, but I think it was Nevada. So let's just say you are Nevada and Montana, and I am New Mexico and Arizona. Okay?
Mhm.
And we're both from Colorado. So, according to this, and if you haven't seen this, go look it up. It's pretty interesting. Colorado's favorite artist is apparently the Naked and Famous.
I don't even know who that is.
I know there's a local station here that plays modern rock, channel 93.3. I know they play them, and I'm familiar with the band name, but it's one of those situations like I've heard of the band, but I don't know what songs belong to them. I know I've
Right.
probably heard their songs, but I don't know. I can't make the connection between, oh yeah, this song is from this band, right? So not too familiar with the Naked and Famous. But according to my other spirit state, if you will.
Spirit state. I won't actually. You asked if I will. I will not allow that.
Okay. New Mexico.
Okay.
New Mexico's favorite is Alan Jackson. Never heard of him. It sounds like, if I had to guess based just off the sound, it sounds like a somewhat blues folky, but not too over the top blues and folk. Like almost like a Jack Johnson. It sounds like somebody who do music similar to Jack Johnson.
Okay.
Alan Jackson. But I'm just guessing. I have no clue. And then I believe my other state was Arizona, which is Lincoln Park. And back in the day, I used to be a pretty big Lincoln Park fan. In fact, on my way here, they played, I think, Numb by Lincoln Park.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a throwback. I'm like, wow, this is a weird, because my musical tastes have changed over the years. Like, if I were just now hearing these songs for the first time today, it would not be music I'm interested in. Linkin Park,
Interesting.
like their old stuff. But because in middle school I was the angsty, dark
Right.
teen, right? I was like,
Yep.
oh yeah, Linkin Park. It's the perfect band for angsty, moody teenage boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because of that, like, I still like them, if that makes sense. Like,
Okay.
stuff you liked as a kid tends to follow over, even if you wouldn't
Yes.
at this stage in life like it if it was just presented to you. So I thought that was interesting. You got, let's see here.
AWOL Nation and Alan Jackson.
No, AWOL Nation is Utah.
Oh.
You got Tim McGraw
Oh, for Montana.
up in Montana.
Yeah.
So some good old country
Ooh,
music.
No.
And
Let's go with no on that one.
another band I've never heard of is I don't know if this is how this is pronounced. It's Ciara. Ciara. It could be like Italian. I don't know. Ciara, I'm guessing.
Don't know.
Never heard of them either. But there are some pretty good bands on this map. So if we're gonna do another like state association,
Mm-hmm.
then this is tough. I might be Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. I quite like them. They're a little weird though. Some of their songs are a little weird, but they did a song called Home. Home, let me come home.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Home is whenever I'm with you.
I don't like it at all. I don't like that song.
Take it back.
No, I don't. I'm not a fan.
Nick,
I don't like it.
take it back.
My favorite band is
now.
not even on that map. So I pulled up the other map.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's from Echo Nest is the data source that uses from Spotify to RDO and Nokia Music. So they do a bunch of that kind of stuff. According to them, Montana's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, and all the other states we have are all Drake.
Are they really?
Yeah, so all like the southern states, Texas, Utah, or Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma are all Drake. And
Colorado's Drake too?
no, Colorado's Macklemore.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Then all the southern states are Jay-Z, and that's almost all of the west or east coast is Jay-Z, and then Daft Punk for some reason is California, and Alaska's Eminem.
See, Macklemore makes sense for Colorado.
It absolutely does.
Because we went through that big phase where everyone here was singing Thrift Shop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So this is what like their people are actually listening to, and it's kind of interesting to see the difference between those two.
I wonder what the difference is, like in terms of how they got the information. If one's like actual plays and listens, and one's like revenue.
I don't know.
I don't know how they went about that. But on this, the first one, the Civil Wars is also on there, which is Alabama. So I might be an Alabaman. My spirit state might be Alabama.
Ooh, I hope not. We'll have to stop
Alabama. So far, we've learned that I am Alabama, Pennsylvania for the music.
Okay.
I'm from Colorado. For the personality test, I got New Mexico. And for the speech test, I got Arizona. Now, if we average them out, okay, just like
Then
if we get a geographical average, I would say I'm probably from Missouri.
Just don't.
So
Stop. I have extended family in Missouri.
I'm Missourian at heart, apparently.
I hope not. We're going over a little bit though.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yes. We have somebody swinging by to pick up some of our cameras, a film buddy of ours, and we need to be ready to present the cameras to him.
It's a whole like procedure, kind of like court, kings and queens. It's like a whole presenting the cameras thing.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic. We go like,
right.
Basically, the whole process is, okay, here's the cameras. Cool, bro. Get them back to you here soon. No problem. It's pretty dramatic. It's very labor intensive, and he's coming by any minute. And so we need to wrap up the podcast before he comes by. That way we could give him the cameras.
Sure. So links.
That's a very overly dramatic and overly explanatory explanation.
It absolutely is.
As to why we need to wrap up the podcast. So yes, Nick.
Links.
Facebook.
Facebook.com/ProactiveSoccerMedia. Website, ProactiveSoccerMedia.com or ProactiveSoccerMedia.squarespace.com. Feedback is feedback@ProactiveSoccerMedia.com or leave a voicemail message at 720-295-0885. We have a company Twitter at PSM_company. Devin has a Twitter at DEVYNN_H. I have a Twitter at ProSlackerNick. And our friend Dan at Nerd News just made a new professional Twitter account, #professional. That's at Nerd News Dan.
That was very impressive.
Yeah. I memorized them.
You did.
I was embarrassed previously.
You flew through those too.
Yep.
But you missed some.
We have a YouTube account, youtube.com/ProactiveSlackers, that live streams all of our video podcasts. You can also leave feedback in the comments section. I forgot that.
Yes. And then how could they support us?
Whoa, that's your thing. You're the
Okay, Mr. I remembered all the social networking links, and I'm gonna, breeze through them super
you're the
fast.
Sponsor guy.
Okay.
You're the one who reads all the sponsors things.
Am I?
Yeah.
Is that how we determine this?
You're the one who has it on your computer every week. So
Okay.
yes.
Fine. Well, in that case, you could help support us via Patreon. That's patreon.com/PSM. This podcast is brought to. Wait, what? I'm trying to do like a PBS thing, but I haven't watched PBS since I was like 6, so I kind of forgot how it goes. So let me.
Proactive Slacker Media is supported by listeners like you.
Thank you. That's how it goes.
Yep.
There you go. You're on top of it. Have you been watching PBS recently?
No, I just remember these things.
Going back and watching. I used to watch a ton of Arthur.
No, don't.
Having fun isn't hard
When
you have the library card.
Yeah. No.
AARDVRK.
I sped through the links to try to
AARDVRK.
speed up this logging
But
off
it's Arthur
for you.
and Reading Rainbow
Mostly. Yeah.
and The Magic School Bus.
I watched The Magic School Bus
That was a good one.
and Bill Nye.
Yay, PBS. So, this podcast is brought to... I keep saying brought to us. This podcast is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. You could help support via patreon.com/PSM. Also, you can help support with the Cafe Press store. That's cafepress.com/ProactiveSlackerMedia. And that's about it.
All right. So we'll see you next Thursday night or Friday for the Proactive Slacker podcast and next Sunday night or Monday for the Shorts and Series podcast.
Depending on whether or not you watch the live stream or watch the video podcast posted later.
Yes.
Or if you're super lame, listen to the audio version.
That does not make you lame.
I spend a lot of time with the video podcasts.
Yes. So watch them.
Yes.
And appreciate them. That's very true. But you're not lame if you listen to us in any manner.
You're not lame to Nick, but with me, it's a bit
Devin's
more.
right.
You'll have to explain yourself as to why you couldn't watch the video podcast.
Okay.
And if I like your case, I will concede to you that you are still awesome.
Case by case basis.
Yes.
Okay.
So that being said, thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
No.